Hi guys, welcome back to this week's Friday Facts. I told you guys not too long ago that I would put a video up for you guys to ask me some questions so I could do a question and answer video for you guys. I wasn't sure how many questions I would get, so I didn't know if I'd have enough to do this week's video or not, but I think I got enough. Several of you guys asked more than one question, which is fine. None of these are in any particular order or whatever. I just kind of copy and pasted them into one place, and I'm looking at my monitor that's behind my phone there. So if you see me looking away, that's what I'm doing. So I'm just going to jump right into this and get some of you guys' questions answered. The first person is by C. Smith. Again, I'm going to tell you right now that if I butcher anybody's usernames, sorry. Some of them are just really weird to me. So, but the first one is C. Smith. His question or her question is, you have many animals. Do you have help keeping everything clean? And how often do I clean my cages? I do have some help cleaning the rat cage. Sometimes my boyfriend will help me, sometimes someone around here will help me, and then sometimes I do it by myself. It's a pretty big task though. And I clean their cage once a week. Every day I try and go around and clean up anything, you know, that might be a little bit out of place, but the major cleaning I do once a week. The bird cages, my mom and I alternate weekends, so one weekend she'll do both, and then the next weekend I'll do both, because one's hers and one's mine, so that's kind of the arrangement we have. Or sometimes she'll just do hers and I'll do mine. Just depends on what we feel like doing. And as far as the animals, if I'm at work, they'll take my dog out for me. If they're out of the house, I'll take their dogs out for them. So it's just kind of, we all kind of trade off a little bit. So yeah, I do have a little bit of help around here, and if my boyfriend and I get our own place, obviously all the pets will be shared responsibility then too. The next question was, have you ever heard of people putting collars on their rats when they're out on the when they're out of the cage for floor time, so you can keep track of them? Honestly, I haven't heard too many people that do that. I have ferrets that I tried to do that with, and the collars never stayed on them either. But I really don't think because of the shape of your rat's head that you're going to be able to keep a collar on them too well. What I do to be able to keep track of everybody is, A, just pay attention to where, try and pay attention to where everybody is. But also when they're out, I've trained all mine to come to a certain noise. I have a treat container. Here, I'll show you right now. Oh my gosh, I'm destroying my house. It's just a plastic container with their treats in it. And if I shake that, every single one of my rats will come running, from no matter where they're at or what they're getting into. That's the first thing I train any new rats to do, is to come to the sound of that. So that anywhere they are, or, especially if they're somewhere maybe they've gotten where I can't get to them easily, that will instantly, they will come to me. Sorry for the bird. Hey, what are you doing? Shh. Does you? Somebody said, what about a collar for a bunny? I don't know if you're asking me what I think about collars for bunnies, or if I think a collar for a bunny would work. Obviously, if you mean would a collar for a bunny work for a rat, no, it'd be way too big. Should you keep a collar on your bunny? I don't know. I used to have a rabbit. I never tried to keep a collar on it, so I really don't know. And they also asked, what about walking around on a leash and harness? I've heard of that, and I know that there's at least one that I've seen on the market for rats, but I've never tried. I'm really paranoid about taking my rats outside, because anytime there's a big bird, you run the risk of birds outside swooping down and taking your rat. I just don't ever chance it. Whenever they're outside, they're in their carrier, so I usually don't risk taking them outside. So. And this question has been asked a couple times by a couple different people, but it was, how did I choose my YouTube name? It's kind of a dumb story, actually. I think I created this YouTube channel or name just to watch videos several years ago, maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago, however long YouTube's been around. And it kind of just stuck. I picked it because there's a band called Matchbox 20, and they're my favorite band in the entire world. And way back when they started, they would call themselves the Matchsticks after, because their name is Matchbox 20. And I always then took the screen name Little Matchstick for like AIM, and a lot of my different usernames for places is the same. And I originally had Little Matchstick, but then I lost the password and never could figure it out. So when I created the new username, it was babymatchstick. So yeah, it's kind of stupid, I know. And I didn't feel like making a whole new channel name when I decided to do videos, so I just kind of kept that one. So that's how that came to be. The next person is Taylor Smith, asked a couple questions. One was, do you use anything to make bar spacing on your ferret nation? I assume meaning making it smaller. Well, number one, I don't have a ferret nation. I actually have a critter nation, which is actually smaller bar spacing in general. So I don't really need to make it any smaller. If you want to get a ferret nation, the next question was, would the bars be too large or too far apart for females? On a ferret nation, yes. More than likely. I've had females that can get out of some pretty tight little spaces. So I would guess yes, especially if you're going to get babies. But I've had some of mine are fat, they would never fit through. But if you're going to go ahead and get the ferret nation, I would really try and find the critter nation, because it's the exact same cage, it just has smaller bar spacing. So if you can, I would definitely look for that. The next person is Cat Chico 1975. Basically the question was that they have a dog who's 8 years old and a rat who's 5 months old, and the rat gets really hyper and wants to go over and see the rat. And when the rat tries to get close, the dog gets really excited. And basically they wanted to know if there was anything that they can do to have their rat and their dog get along. Number one, I would like to, suggest getting another rat for your friend, or another rat for your rat to have a friend. Say that 10 times fast. Because they really, really do need buddies. If at all possible, please try and find another little rat friend, for your little one. As far as, dogs or cats or whatever and rats mixing together, I have, you guys seen in my last video, I have 2 Chihuahuas and I have a Shar-Pei German Shepherd mix. And while my Chihuahuas, they pretty much stay out of my room. They don't come in here very often. And they're afraid of my rats anyway, funny enough. But the German Shepherd's Shar-Pei mix is very curious about the rats. But I do not trust him at all. I've tried to let him come over and sniff the rats. But being that you have a terrier, I don't know much about them, but I think they're have more like a hunting vibe. I could be wrong on that, but with pretty much my suggestion is with any animals that you want to introduce to your rats, you know the personality of your pets better than I ever could. I just don't take chances personally. I know that we all see those cute videos on YouTube of like all these interspecies friendships, but I'm so paranoid about my rats, and I don't want anything bad to happen because of something I've done or a situation that I have put them in. So I don't risk it. If you want to try, I would suggest having your dog on a leash and have perfect control over that dog, just in case something happens. But if it were me, I really wouldn't risk it. Sorry, my rats, I couldn't put them in a situation like that. The next set of questions is the Fat Rat channel. It says, do you prefer male or female rats? And this is such a hard question for me. I've had a little bit of bad luck with males as far as a lot of territorial fighting and stuff. So I haven't kept that many males in my life, and a couple of them had to be housed alone. But I love the males. They're very cuddly. They're very, I had one that would love to just crawl on my shirt and just sit, and he would stay there and just boggle for hours. I loved him. They're very much more laid back and much more cuddly, but I've had so many issues with territory, and it probably was just a lot of bad luck. But I'm probably going to stick with girls. I love the girls because they're so active. It's such a hard question. I really can't pick. I like them both for different reasons, but I think just for my own personal, life, I'm going to keep females, at least for now. And again, they asked me my YouTube name, which I already addressed. The next set of questions comes from, I hope I don't kill your name, Mandy Agel. Sorry if that's wrong. What made me decide to have rats? Well, I was a psychology major when I was in college, and we did a lot of studying of animal behavior, and rats, they study rats a lot. They do a lot of testing on them. They do a lot of studies on them, and we had to read and watch countless videos of animal training and stuff like that to learn about psychology and how the brain works. And it fascinated me. And I went out and got my first 2 rats because of it. And I was terrified of my first rat for about a week. And I was a terrible rat owner at first. They were in a aquarium, a 10-gallon aquarium. They were fed really crappy food. I was a terrible owner for a while at first until I finally learned. And I did end up we had a rat lab on my campus, my college campus, where they actually did testing and stuff. And I did end up adopting a rat from my campus. She was very, very shy for her whole life. But that's pretty much where I was really introduced, was through my psych classes in college. What made me want to do a YouTube channel to help others with their family pets? Pretty much the big thing was I actually used to run, or not run, but I was a moderator on a rat forum a couple years ago, and there was so much misinformation, so many people coming on for questions, even common questions that to me now I'm just like, duh. But I remember being a first-time owner and having no information. It took me a while to really find the information I needed to find. And I've always been big on watching YouTube channels about makeup and stuff like that. I'm a girl. I love makeup and all that. So for some reason, one day I just got the idea of, wow, I could make videos about rats and tell people about them. Talk about how amazing they are and what great pets they are, and answer people's questions, and get the information out there about what great pets they are, and the best stuff out there in the market for them, and how to take really good care of them. So I just I talked to my boyfriend about it one day, and he's like, you should do it. So here I am. The next question is, or a couple questions, is from, sorry, I might say this name wrong, Jahali, sorry, Hudson. What made you want a rat as a pet? As I said before, that's what got me into it, was my psych classes and how smart they are. That's the other big thing I didn't mention, is they're so intelligent, even more than what we see from seeing them from a pet perspective, but they're actually very intelligent animals. Next question is, do you get your rats fixed? No, I don't. My vet charges astronomical amounts. It's something like $300 per rat. He's done very few, if any, rat spays and neuters. And I live in a really small town in Ohio, and there's not really any other small animal vets in my area. He's the only one within a 50-mile radius of me that even sees rats. So I really don't have that kind of extra money. I work at a grocery store, so I really don't make a whole lot of extra money right now to get my rats spayed and neutered, even though I highly suggest that you do if you can afford it and if you can find a good vet. I'm hoping someday that can change to where I can, find a better vet. But for now, I'm working with what I've got. But that's so out of my price range. I have 5 rats. That would be $1,500 right there. And I don't have that kind of extra income right now, unfortunately. Next one was, have you ever had mice, gerbils, or hamsters? No, not really, no. I had these little dwarf hamsters for about 2 weeks. My roommate kind of just gave them to me when she moved out when I lived in college, and I didn't really want them. So I did find a good home for them, though. But nope. As far as rodents go, I stick to my rats. If you could keep only one type of pet, which one would you choose? Rats, for sure. Not that I don't love my dogs and cats and birds, and I used to have fish and everything, but I love my rats. I've been keeping them for so long, and they're my babies. I can't imagine my life without them. So I would have to say if I could only have one pet, it would definitely be rats. The next set of questions is Stolen Moonlight 13. Basically, they're asking that they're considering getting pet rats, and they're terrified of them getting tumors and being sick, and that they've heard that this is very common in rats, and they want to know if they're being unreasonable when being concerned with this, and if females are more likely to have health problems due to mammary tumors. Unfortunately, you're not being unreasonable in that concern. I don't have or have ever owned a single rat that didn't have a health problem at some point in their life, whether it be respiratory, whether it be tumors. I've had internal problems, and I hate to go on and on about this because I don't want to detract from what amazing pets they are, because they are, but they are very expensive, and they do have a lot of health problems, and that's probably because they're not really bred very often for health. They're not like dogs would be. They're not really bred very much for temperament. And because their life cycle is so short,